Namaste World Raisers, Sabina and Roger here. Today we're covering Gandhi. One of our wonderful world yogis asked us to watch two videos, one song and one speech of Gandhi. And thank you, Paro, for your wonderful support. Paro and I were connecting lately a lot in the member section, having wonderful conversations. They have been really helpful. Okay, so the first video watch is by MC Yogi, Be the Change.
MC Yogi.
Sounds cool.
Sounds like a rapper.
We just watched the two wonderful videos. So Roger didn't know that there were two videos. He thought we only watched one. So there's a bit of a discussion going on in the middle. But please stay for the wonderful speech as well. And enjoy the mind-blowingly beautiful song. And please keep the comment section clean and spiritual, loving and kind. Like a good spiritual practitioner, a Sanatana Dharma practitioner, a good Buddhist.
Be the change.
Dedicated to all spiritual activists, truth seekers, and peaceful warriors worldwide.
I regard myself as a soldier, though a soldier of peace.
Once upon a time, not long ago, there was a boy who would grow and become a great soul. He lived in India, and his name was Gandhi. He believed in human rights, and he fought for equality. He felt so strongly that he trained himself, cause he realized first he'd have to change himself. He changed his clothes and decided to walk. Some days he practiced silence and refused to talk. When he was young, he studied to be a lawyer, and then he became a great spiritual warrior. He read from the scriptures of every religion, came to the realization that we're all God's children. Because he understood that we're all equal, he became a spokesman for the people. A karma yogi, devoted to service, to spread truth and peace was his purpose. You gotta be the change that you wanna see in the world. Just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world. Just like Gandhi. Just like Gandhi.
Officially my favorite rap song.
Gandhi dedicated his life to the cause, even when it meant breaking unjust laws. He often faced prison and incarceration, but that only strengthened his determination. He said he would make every sacrifice, but that he would never kill or take a life. He used his heart instead of his fist, and he taught nonviolence as the way to resist. A peaceful soldier who used his mind to fight for the rights of humankind, but not just people, animals too. In his basic teaching, God is truth. He joined Muslims, Sikhs, and Hindus, Christians, Buddhists, Jains, and Jews. All the many paths that lead into the light that shines bright inside of me and you. You gotta be the change that you wanna see in the world. The change, just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world. Just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world. The change, just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world. Just like Gandhi taught an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind, and it takes more strength and faith to be kind. With that in mind, Gandhi took a stand against the foreign occupation of his land. When things got violent, Gandhi would fast, not eating for days until the riots would pass. But the biggest event that made the British halt is when Gandhi G decided to harvest salt. The British Empire installed a salt tax, and stealing salt was an unlawful act. So Gandhi and his peeps took to the streets, 10,000 deep, they marched to the beach. But when they arrived, they were beaten with clubs, but they didn't fight back, instead they chose love. The foreign military realized they were wrong and eventually decided to go back home. You see, Gandhi G was a very great leader, but before all that, he was shy and meager. As a young child, he was just like you and me, before he became Mahatma Gandhi. The word Mahatma, it means great soul, and it's inside of us, just waiting to unfold. If you follow your heart and act real bold, next time it'll be your story that's told. You gotta be the change that you wanna see in the world. The change, just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world. Just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world. The change, wanna see in the world, just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world, the change, just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world, just like Gandhi.
I love it.
I regard myself as a soldier, though a soldier of peace.
Oh God.
Wow.
Ooh. Oh wow, that was intense. Oh wow.
Wow.
Ooh.
That was deep. That was so poetic and beautiful, right? Expressing, all about Gandhi and his actions and his intentions, and his dedication and his service to mankind and to India, right? So, a truly great soul,
Ooh.
right?
Yeah. I had a feeling, I don't remember much about Gandhi, but I had a feeling that this t-shirt would fit.
Absolutely,
Yeah, it did.
right? Yeah, so studying all world religions and understanding the meaning and the deeper essence and truth within all religions. So when you cut right to the core of them, right, they're descending from enlightened spiritual masters, whether you're calling them yogis or saints or mystics. There's a divine truth, within each one of us, right? So, and these are the levels of enlightenment beyond the ego. So, so we could see the example of these great beings, right? We got to be the change. And if we don't like the world, if we think it can be better, how is it going to be better? It can't. It's the expression of the collective level of consciousness of all mankind. And we're part of that. If we don't raise our level of consciousness, then can't really expect others to do that.
There is an indefinable, mysterious power that pervades everything. I feel it, though I do not see it. It is this unseen power which makes itself felt and yet defies all proof, because it is so unlike all that I perceive through my senses. It transcends the senses, but it is possible to reason out the existence of God to a limited extent. Even in ordinary affairs, we know that people do not know who rules or why and how he rules. And yet they know that there is a power that certainly rules. In my tour last year in Mysore, I met many poor villagers, and I found upon inquiry that they did not know who ruled Mysore. They simply said, some god ruled it. If the knowledge of these poor people was so limited about their ruler, I, who am infinitely lesser in respect to God than they to their ruler, need not be surprised if I do not realize the presence of God, the King of Kings. Nevertheless, I do feel, as the poor villagers felt about Mysore, that there is orderliness in the universe. There is an unalterable law governing everything and every being that exists or lives. It is not a blind law, for no blind law can govern the conduct of living beings. And thanks to the marvelous researches of Sir J.C. Bose, it can now be proved that even matter is life. That law, then, which governs all life is God. Law and the lawgiver are one. I may not deny the law or the lawgiver because I know so little about it or him. Just as my denial or ignorance of the existence of an earthly power will avail me nothing, even so, my denial of God and his law will not liberate me from its operation, whereas humble and mute acceptance of divine authority makes life's journey easier, even as the acceptance of earthly rule makes life under it easier. I do dimly perceive that whilst everything around me is ever changing, ever dying, there is underlying all that change a living power that is changeless, that holds all together, that creates, dissolves, and recreates. That informing power of spirit is God, and since nothing else that I see merely through the senses can or will persist, he alone is. And is this power benevolent or malevolent? I see it as purely benevolent, for I can see that in the midst of death, life persists. In the midst of untruth, truth persists. In the midst of darkness, light persists. Hence I gather that God is life, truth, light. He is love. He is the supreme good. But he is no God who merely satisfies the intellect, if he ever does. God, to be God, must rule the heart and transform it. He must express himself in every smallest act of his votary. This can only be done through a definite realization, more real than the five senses can ever produce. Sense perceptions can be, and often are, false and deceptive, however real they may appear to us. Where there is realization outside the senses, it is infallible. It is proved not by extraneous evidence, but in the transformed conduct and character of those who have felt the real presence of God within. Such testimony is to be found in the experiences of an unbroken line of prophets and sages in all countries and climes. To reject this evidence is to deny oneself. This realization is preceded by an immovable faith. He who would, in his own person, test the fact of God's presence can do so by a living faith. And since faith itself cannot be proved by extraneous evidence, the safest course is to believe in the moral government of the world, and therefore in the supremacy of the moral law, the law of truth and love. Exercise of faith will be the safest where there is a clear determination, summarily, to reject all that is contrary to truth and love. I confess that I have no argument to convince through reason. Faith transcends reason. All I can advise is not to attempt the impossible.
Oh, wow. Ah. That was just the perfect timing to watch those two videos.
Yeah, so good.
Can you summarize the beginning of this video? It was a bit complicated for me.
Oh, that part?
Yeah, Mysore part.
Yeah, he was talking about how the poor people in Mysore, they knew that they were ruled by a ruler, even like a king or whatever, or government, even though they're very much detached from that. They still understood. It's just like in any culture. Like, even though I don't know the prime minister, I still know that I'm ruled by a prime minister. He was saying that in that example, even though Gandhi, can't see God, right? He still knows that God is his ruler, right? So in that example, we can all perceive that, right? If you're reasonable and intellectual or knowledgeable enough, and have an intention to seek a higher wisdom and higher truth, then the evidence is just overwhelming that there is a power, right? There is something that pervades everything. It's got many definitions, has many names, but ultimately it's it's infinite, all-powerful, omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent source of absolutely everything. And many people call that God, the supreme, right? So he's saying that, even though you can deny God, that doesn't eliminate the fact that God still is your source and is the source of everything, right? And I think that's a big problem in the world, is like, just we're coming to a time, call it Kali Yuga, or just the degeneration of spiritual knowledge and wisdom, and just so much other entertainments and distractions. And then life, it is suffering, but we have enough comforts and distractions that it's not so bad. So then we just deal with it until something horrible happens. And then you back on the path, maybe seeking some wisdom and some answers and some relief of your suffering. But ultimately, even if God or truth isn't part of our lives at all, and we could be atheists and totally deny it, there's something that's undeniable, like within each one of us, right? And it's consciousness and awareness and the very capacity to be aware, which is why he really stressed that it's beyond the senses, right? Because it's the power that allows the senses to even function, right? So the pristine subjective awareness, of the mind itself, right? If it wasn't for that, then we couldn't even say that we exist, or anything exists for that matter. So the supreme absolute truth, right?
That was a real treat.
That was great. Yeah.
I'm gonna put that on our mantra and song playlist. The song.
Yeah, the song was great.
That was intense. Unexpected.
Fantastic. So.
I don't remember when I lost it like that last time. I think it was VG.
Yeah.
Sadhguru and VG.
Oh yeah.
That was intense.
Yeah,
too.
any video that's bringing out the tears, I think I was close to. Yeah, so
That's
great.
good. So, are you gonna be the next Gandhi? The next Buddha of compassion?
Yeah. We have to be the
Let
change.
us know.
We have to raise ourselves, raise the world, right? So thank you so much for this request.
Paro.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. If you like these videos as much as we did, please hit that like button.
Do it.
Remember to subscribe. It really, really helps the channel. Let us know what you think down in the comments. And remember, raise yourself.
And raise the world. Thank you so much, everyone. And a very special thank you again to Paro, our world yogi. We love you.
Peace.